This is my grandma, or Lola, as I call her in Tagalog, 80th birthday.
I made a wish.
We're watching footage of her and my grandfather on a gorilla safari in Rwanda.
The hairy gorilla. We found him.
But what were they doing in Rwanda? I set out to find more. I asked my grandma if she had more tapes. She did. She had a lot more. I spent the better part of a Friday going through the films.
Do you have any sense of how many unaccompanied children there are in total? And
Yep. I mean, I don't know if it's true, but I have a kind of a sense. About 700 in children's center totally alone, distributed in the 3 camps, kilometer 25, 30, 41. About 2,500, could be 3,000 in Rwandan families, foster families picked up along the way. And over, but at least 500 we've already identified between kilometer 41 and Burundi.
What did I just watch? I wanted to learn more, so I asked my grandmother to sit down for a talk.
My name is Marie de la Soudière. I do so many things, it's hard to know where to begin. The main work in my life has been as a humanitarian worker. Kind of a grand word for helping children in adversity, children that are encountering war. A lot of the time it's armed conflict or natural disaster like tsunami, earthquake, that sort of thing. So it's interesting because it's been well over 40 years, and I was counting the other day, and I worked in well over 40 countries.
Unfortunately, I'm only able to show a part of my grandmother's story. Here is an extremely small tidbit of her experience.
Well, another situation that also involves unaccompanied children and looking for their family was 1994, 1995 in Goma, which is at the border of Rwanda. Goma is in the Congo now, but it was called Zaire then. That was before the government fell, before the sort of mini takeover. I actually was a little bit in Rwanda for a while during the genocide that was absolutely horrendous. And when the ethnic group that killed the other side ran away, when the rebels were coming, the actual genociders ran away all the way to Goma. Now, 3 million refugees, Rwandan refugees, poured into Zaire. And there were 1 million in the Goma region where I was. It was very tough because these were, not all of them, but let's say 10, 20% were actually people that had been just doing the most horrendous thing. They'd been killing a lot of people. But they came with their family, their wife, their children. So the overwhelming majority were totally innocent under the thumb of these horrible thugs. And among these million there were 13,000 children, including very young ones, 1-year-old, 9-month-old babies, in orphanages. There, I wasn't in charge. We weren't in charge of the care of the kids because we don't want, orphanages are never good for children. Mass care leads to abuses. But there were orphanages, 1,500, all these children everywhere. Very quickly, we had actually a photographer take photos of every single one of these kids, 13,000 plus. I mean, again, with a sign, especially there, it was so important not to reveal where the child was cared for or their name or anything, because it was ethnic rivalry and ethnic cleansing, and that could be really dangerous. So we needed to have 6 of these photos, the same photo, 6 times developed, because the camps were all over. So we set up huge tents. Actually, I remember I even went and got the wood and put it the thing with all of these photos. Now, this was about a year after the refugees arrived. The parents, the families, they had looked and looked and looked, and they hadn't found anybody. Some of them hadn't, and they'd given up. It just was so moving, and they walked in and they were overwhelmed. And then other parents would say, look at a 10 months old baby and say, this is my daughter, this is my 17-year-old daughter. It was very simple farmers who'd lived in their mountains, in their hills. They'd not seen any photos. But slowly, they learned to read a photo, and it rekindled the longing for the child. So they may not find it through the photo, but it would start a train of events that would lead them to the child. What is the most important message for people who want to work with children in adversity, in war, in disaster? The most important, absolutely, is concentrate on the resilience and the knowledge of the people you're talking to. Ask them questions about what happened when you were happy with your mother in the olden days. Did you help your mother get the water in the morning? Did you go to school? To make them remember the good times. That will give them back their strength and their resilience. And try not to think that your immediate interpretation is necessarily the right one, particularly when you're working with people from different cultures, because they work within a particular environment that may not be yours, with beliefs that may not be yours. So we're too quick to put analysis. That's the way we were taught. But there should be a long time of learning. Do not be afraid to change your mind, because typically what you think is a reality at the beginning, of course you have to make judgment. Of course you have to analyze the situation. But it's only over time that you have some of the pieces of the puzzles, some of the lens through which you should see the situation. And we have made a lot of mistakes. I've made mistakes. And why are we there? Because we have not been slaughtered. We are strong, but otherwise we're the same. The situation could be reversed. So you constantly have to be extremely humble and learn by listening.
Hearing about my Lola's aid work was one thing. Watching her work is something else entirely.